What's up?
Good evening.
Let me camera you kind of off. No, I'm setting it right there.
That's how you liked it. I
Kinda
thought you just
off. Nah,
half my face on that.
yeah, nah, Phantom Opera shit.
What's going on?
What's up?
Got the fantasy today.
Mm,
Break it down?
okay, let me go ahead on and put my little thing right there. 1 second. So this is back with what I figured that this is gonna be the last of this because we say we was gonna go on a break for August, so
Okay.
we're gonna stop it with fantasy. The Cancer community we went over last week was fear, and fantasy is just opposite of fear to me. You know,
Okay.
it's something that I feel that damages the perception of people. If you're not living in reality,
Mm.
um, it could have a negative effect. Sorry, y'all. I'm doing some stuff like putting it out there, sharing and
Multitasking.
stuff. Yeah, multitasking. But yeah, it could have a damaging effect if you're not rooted in reality. Just as much as fear can have a damaging effect.
Mm.
Um,
Fantasy can probably be worse.
yeah,
Depending on the setup. That's I see you got you. What was that? An acronym?
yeah. I got an acronym. There you go. Thank you.
Got,
Thank you for putting me back on track. Yeah, I got an acronym.
Got an
So,
acronym.
yeah, I had to put because I was never gonna remember that. I was having a hard time with fear last week,
Man.
so I was never gonna remember that. So fantasy, fabricated and alluring non-entities to always satisfy yourself.
Mm.
So you're fabricating something, that looks grandiose,
Looks to be real.
and you're doing it to satisfy yourself, or save yourself pain, or some of this fantasy could be from trauma, keep yourself from going through more trauma. We tell ourselves things to get through.
Yeah,
Get
got to
through
get
stuff.
by.
Yeah.
Get by.
Go to your happy place.
I mean, that's a good thing too, but
Yeah.
sometimes we stay there a little too long,
Yeah.
and we never come back to reality. So that's but that's a pretty cool. You came up with that yourself, or you?
Yeah, no, I came up with it myself. Yeah,
that's
I was
many talents.
sitting around thinking about shit, and I got this. I'm gonna start off with the video so I
Okay.
can get into it.
You said we got a couple ladies coming on today. Or?
No,
Okay.
no. That was because I was gonna do single whatever.
Oh,
So yeah, we gonna take off a month, and we'll hop back in next, in September. Hop back in it. The first week we'll do something, and then the second week we'll come in live from.
from the health fair.
Yeah, we'll do something on Saturday. Coming live from the health fair.
That'd be all right.
So anybody that don't know, we're having like a health festival. Part of the nonprofit I'm a part of, Black and Brown Bridge. It's men's health, getting them focused on their health, both African American men and Latino men, because it's something we don't. Why is it not coming? That's something like men don't usually do, is focus on their health.
Mm.
So
yeah, we tough.
We built tough.
We built tough. We don't have time for health.
What is that?
What is it? Come on, go ahead and cut down these trees, or
So
build this house.
I don't know why it's not doing it, but anyway,
that's for the video.
Yeah, for the video. There you go. It came up right there.
Yeah, we like to overlook our health. Make sure everything else all right. But that it's fine when you 20, 30, And the next thing you know, you get 40, and then 50, and then it started to catch up. Which what we got here? Let's see.
See, can I change it to? Nah, it's not gonna do it that way. So we're gonna do it the way. Nah, we're gonna do it the way it was, so people can see it. Just trying to figure it out. Okay, now we're going to it. Um, just got a lag on it because it just
Fantasy
there you go.
thinking ultimately creates pain and suffering in the moment. This lesson has taken me a long time, a lot of pain and suffering to learn. And so I hope today, in sharing it with you, you have the chance to see how fantasy thinking or daydreaming creates pain and suffering in the moment. So, first, what is fantasy thinking or daydreaming? So that
That a bit. I tried to make it do faster. Ain't that a bit?
Messed up your flow.
Yeah, I messed up.
dreaming, so that you know exactly what I'm talking about. Fantasy thinking is when you're sitting, say, laying in bed, or you're sitting in class, or you're sitting at work. Often it'll take place when you're bored somewhere,
Okay. Yeah. 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 I think.
and you'll be thinking about some other time, either in the past or in the future, that you wish you could go back to. And so that fantasy thinking creates pain and suffering in the moment. And so I hope today that you have the chance to see how fantasy thinking creates pain and suffering in the moment. And so the first step is to understand what fantasy thinking is. Saying, oh, what I have right now is not enough. Let me imagine what I would have so it would be enough. It's a long, drawn out torture. And no wonder I hated being a teenager. Almost all I did when I was a teenager was go around and say how bad my life was and fantasize about all the things that would make it good. I remember going to bed one night as a teenager, trying to imagine all the girls that I'd like to have in my bed with me. And it turned into quite a circus. There were like 10 or 15 different girls I was picturing there in my room with me. And yet it hurt. It was torture to do that because that's not what was really happening. I wasn't really in a room with 15 naked girls that I thought would be make my life perfect and then I'd feel like I was enough. I was laying in bed by myself. And so that fantasy creates pain because it creates a difference. It creates a separation between what is real and something else in the future that's ideal or imaginary. And it makes suffering because it's not real in the moment. And deep down, honestly, no matter how hard you're fantasizing, you know that's not what's happening right now. And I've spent thousands of hours in my life fantasizing and daydreaming. And I'm grateful now. I know if I'm doing that, and I woke up this morning, and lots of times in the morning, I'm vulnerable to getting into that fantasizing or daydreaming because I'm just coming out of dreaming all night. And so I noticed I was doing that this morning. And as soon as I noticed I was doing it, then I was able to stop doing it. Oh, I'm hurting myself. I don't want to hurt myself because I can feel now whenever I start thinking how wonderful it would be in some future moment if this or if that, I realize it hurts to do that. When I'm sensitive enough to detect the hurt, I
No.
can see anytime I start to go outside of this moment at all.
I promise you, I didn't put that because he sound like he going somewhere else. He has a point. I promise you.
It's interesting. I mean, just when I saw
in
the
the morning.
the thumbnail,
Mm.
I said this is gonna be interesting anyway. But he proved to be,
Yeah.
this. I know
So
you got a purpose for this.
okay, so we gonna get it because you know what I didn't even think about that when I heard it the first time, but that sound really
Yep.
perverted. So let me go ahead.
And fantasize about things in the future, it hurts. And the more lucrative the fantasy seems, the more it hurts. So it might not hurt too much to think ahead to tomorrow and think, oh, it might be nice to go to the movies with my wife, or my wife and I might have fun at that class tomorrow. That doesn't hurt too much because that's usually pretty close to whatever the reality will be. I used to fantasize about my business all the time. Oh man, when I'm making this amount of money every month, then I can hire people and then I can do all these amazing things online. And I used to fantasize about that endlessly. And then whenever I was working with people, I would be talking about those fantasies instead of talking more about what was really going on. When I talk with people about my business now, I talk about what is actually happening. What are we doing right now? And is there anything we should start doing right now that we're not doing? None of this fantasy stuff. We don't need to talk about when this happens or that happens. What are we doing now? And is there anything we should add or subtract from what we're doing now? The fantasy thinking pervades almost all areas of life. That's why I loved video games so much before, too. It was making a fantasy real. It was making that fantasy real because I had lots of violent fantasies also. And then when I play video games, I could go shoot people in the video game, or I could go slaughter zombies in the video game. I could act out some of these fantasies. And the most miserable I got was when the game didn't match up with my idea of how the fantasy should be. So as long as you can see that fantasizing, daydreaming, thinking about something like, oh, it will be so great, as long as you can see that causes you pain and torture in the moment, then you don't have to endure it. Now, it might not seem like horrible torture on the rack where you're getting your arm stretched out. It usually requires you to be a bit more sensitive to see how much fantasy hurts. If you're used to a life of pain and suffering, fantasy might seem like a little bit of relief. It's just like
Okay, that's enough of that. So that's enough of that. Actually, I should have moved it to whatever. But anyway, we could speak on that. You know, the fantasy about doing certain things. So I'm a gamer, so
Hmm.
I can. I'm not thinking about killing people
You
though.
can
I mean,
relate to what he's saying though
but
about
I'm not. I don't think about killing people. So that made it kind of crazy. You go from just
video game
video
into
game
man. I
into
love shooting people.
you fantasizing about going to kill somebody. So
Yeah.
um when you have certain, he said he got angry when it didn't match up, right?
Right.
So when you have so much emotion behind that fantasy, that whatever, I think that's the problem about fantasy, right? When you can't understand, and you can't deal with reality because you're so focused on trying to be in this fantasy world. You're so focused on trying to make yourself into whatever you see yourself as in the fantasy world. That's where the issues come into play.
Right. And that's a fantasy. It's
Mm,
not reality. It's
mm,
very hard to achieve that level of I guess you can call it accuracy
mm.
that you get in your fantasy in real life. So you pretty much gonna be disappointed every single time.
Yeah, because the thing is, fantasy. So real life will never, almost never, equal up to what you got in your head.
Nope.
Will never.
Nope.
It's just like copper versus fiber, right? We phone guys, so I'm put it down.
Yeah,
Copper versus fiber. One thing has copper has friction, so it's not gonna go as fast as fiber. Fiber is light, so it's that's the same thing with fantasy. The fantasy is like the fantasy world is gonna be effortless.
Mhm.
Whatever you think about is effortless.
It
There's
can
no
happen.
problems involved. There's no friction involved. There's nothing.
Yeah.
It's just like it's here and this is gonna happen. This is gonna line up and whatever. So I think a lot of people, especially in our community, like we don't we operate a lot out of certain things as far as fantasy. Winning a lottery. People that go play the lottery also winning a lottery. We're gonna win it big. And and you got that whole roller coaster. You feel, oh yeah, I'm gonna hit. I feel it.
And then when it don't happen,
Now you feel down, depressed.
and then you start saying something like it's rigged.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's always been, it ain't set up for you to win.
exactly. It's called a lottery. It's everybody not supposed to win. And but like you say, you build yourself up to get that disappointment, and it makes it hurt that much bad
because you put more emotion into it.
You do, and I try to carry myself with no expectations, and I guess that's kind of don't fantasize about what's getting ready to happen or the outcome of it, because it'll never, the reality will probably never live up to what I can make up in my head. So you just let things come as they are and then deal with it. Like he said some valid things like in the moment, stay in the moment, see what's going on. But yeah,
and that was part of the point, and I missed it because I was messing around, whatever. But that is an important point, because the thing is, if you're constantly looking at the future, what you want to happen, with the fantasy you want to happen, you're missing out on important moments that you can be happy in that moment.
That's right.
Because you're in your head, you're thinking that,
you're missing out on everything going around.
Yeah, they're going around.
You're missing out on, and that's really the only time that you can really live in. The only time you can live in is the present. So whenever you get too far ahead and start looking to the future, or even when you start looking at your past, you are now none of that can change.
Yeah, you can't change it,
and you can't manipulate you can manipulate the future, but you don't know what the future has. So you got to learn how to enjoy, embrace the present, and and make the best of every day, every moment, and that's how you get your quote unquote fantasy, or your dreams to kind of show themselves up in the end.
I don't see him more. I don't remove him.
He's taking up the whole
screen. I don't remove him. But anyway, yeah, like you said, you're looking back at something that you can't change. You're looking forward at something that's just an idea in your head, that you're putting weight on it so much that once you get there, you don't even know if you're gonna even like that. It's just something in your head. Living in the moment is like, okay, this is where I'm in today. I can
make the best.
I can make the best of it, and
I've done that several times though, thinking, "Oh, if I get this, it's gonna change my life,
and I'm gonna be happy."
It wasn't even so much happy. It's just, man, that's got to be. And then you get it. Like, this is nothing like what I had in my mind.
This ain't G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip.
Right. This is not what I was thinking.
This ain't the Autobots. This GoBots.
Oh man, I got stories about that kind of stuff. But yeah, and that's why. And I had to learn that disappointment, that hurt from all that build up. You had to learn how to bring that back, dial it back, and just enjoy the moment. Enjoy what you do have. Take advantage of it. It might not be the fanciest or the newest, but take advantage of what you have in that moment.
Eric, so you can't enjoy the moment and think of your future simultaneously?
You can. I think you can enjoy the moment and think of your future, but don't put too much. Like I don't know if you saw the video, but he was talking about how he would just spend all his time focusing on the future, and when you do that, you miss out on the moment. You can't do both. I know a lot of women think they can multitask, but you cannot enjoy the present. Continue to focus on the future like that.
Something have more weight.
Yeah,
you put more weight in one thing, and
that's what he was getting at. He spent. He said a majority of his time just focused on the future. And when you do that, it's just reality. You can't be in the present. You can't be in the moment. You can't enjoy. You can't see the stars. You can't hear the birds chirp. You just miss out on life, and that's that's not a good thing. I just leave it like that.
No. And to bring it back to our community, I think we were sold a bill of goods, right? The fantasy that we were going to be. Hey Donna, Chanel, what's going on? Welcome back. In our community, we're sold a bill of goods that we can be like white folks. Right. Just to put it plain and simple, we could be like white folks, we were going to be accepted, I have a dream, Dr. King with the I Have a Dream speech. We're going to be accepted and all was going to be good in the land. Right. That was in 69, 68, 69, whatever, somewhere around then. That still hasn't come to fruition. We still have racism.
Oh yeah.
We still have issues. And I think people have to, like, people deal with this every day. Like, when I get so much money, they're going to accept me, right? When I get a certain place, I'm going to be accepted. I don't have to deal with regular stuff, and everything's going to be okay. And then reality hits. You get slapped in the face, like Mike Tyson said. Everybody got a plan to get punched in the face.
Yeah,
you get punched in the face.
And all that goes out the window. Then.
Yeah, and that's what I think. It hurts because if you're building yourself up to live a certain life, and in your mind you're thinking that, okay, this is going to be it. This was going to be. It's going to make everything happen for me. It's going to open up doors. It's going to do this. It's going to do that, and I'm going to be just able to live and be at peace and happy. But then,
and you got every single detail laid out. And don't get me wrong, you're supposed to have
you're supposed
goals,
to plan.
You're supposed to look
plan.
But within reason. Because what happens is you create that own disappointment, and so often that's what keeps people from moving forward. It doesn't match up to the way they imagine it in their head, and then even though you still headed in the right direction,
you're heading in the direction,
but it's not going the way you had designed it. So you fall back, you give up, or you take less interest in whatever it was. So that's a very real thing. I've experienced it. So y'all killing my dream.
No, we ain't killing you. No, so the thing is, right, you can plan. You can have
know where you want to go.
You can know the direction you want to go.
You gotta have a map. You gotta know, when you get in your car, you put the address in GPS, you gotta know where you're going. But you can't be like, yeah, I'm gonna pass a blue BMW and it's gonna be the best looking woman I ever seen in there. And I'm you start fantasizing, romancing it. And I'm just giving that as an example. Of course, there's nothing like that, but many people do that. And there's nothing wrong with, like I said, laying out your roadmap, but find your direction and you head toward. You live every moment in the moment and you head in that direction.
And usually, to me, the fantasy is always the perfect world, like the perfect version of something.
Right.
Like the fantasy is always the perfect version of something. And
hold on, I just want to respond.
People killing my dreams.
for the killing my dreams and the for real. When you do dream, when you do fantasize, do you throw bad in there? Do you throw negative events in that plan?
No.
And the answer is probably no. And that's all I'm telling you. When you set yourself up with such high expectations, when they don't come the way you set them up for, then a lot of times that's almost worse than never trying.
Never planning.
Yeah, never planning. I'm not trying to kill any dreams. I'm just telling you, just enjoy the moment. I tell everybody it's the journey. Everybody want to get to the destination, but the journey is really the biggest thing. I learned that running long distance. I ran a half a marathon, and I realized everything I went through. Because once I got to the end, it was kind of like, But I remember the different stages at each mile, I'll say, or each different time frames in that run, and that is what I remember the most, not the finish, not completing that task, even though that was my end goal, was to complete it, but just staying in the moment, dealing with certain adversities, whatever the case may be. But I've heard a lot of athletes talk about when they win the Super Bowl or the championship, how they feel empty at the end because they've decided that it's going to be, the world's going to change, the clouds going to open up, and then,
and nothing changes. Really,
you wake up, it's Sunday, and you go to church or whatever you do on Sundays, but no.
But you don't have that journey no more because you completed it. So it's like, shit.
And that's the thing. It's all about the journey. It's not about it is about the destination, but the journey is the important part.
It makes it feel more fulfilling, to get to that point. Because the thing about it, when you get to, and I've said this before. I had a conversation about this. As far as the journey and everything, what you just said, basically what you said is about the journey. Because when you get to a certain point, and as human beings, right, we're in our 40s, our late 40s. So when
25,
whatever. When we get to old age where we not working anymore, right? You're not going to remember retire. You're not going to be thinking about retirement. Okay, I'm just sitting around. No, you're going to be thinking about that journey. You're going to be
Yeah,
thinking about the
man.
memories you made
Remember I
along the
met
way.
remember I met Willie Lawton,
Mm,
or
yeah.
whatever the case. But
Remember,
that's
you used to be a Falcons fan.
right, always. But I mean, but you're right though.
Yeah.
That it's the journey. It's the whole lead up to the end.
Mm,
That you're gonna hold on to when you're on your deathbed.
mm.
You're not gonna be thinking about all
Yeah.
that.
I accomplished this. You're
I,
not going to think about
I'm
that.
getting ready to die.
Yeah.
You can be like, man, wife, kids,
Mm,
whatever the case may be,
yeah.
whatever you experience in your life. But
Not I bought a BMW. I bought a Benz. I bought,
and then
uh,
everything was perfect.
yeah, it's gonna be about the experience you had when you was in whatever. Even like I even find myself, thinking about certain things like when I was younger, when I was broke and stuff. Certain things I learned certain lessons along the way that was valuable lessons. It's
Oh,
valuable lessons. So I could say I can't say I'm more happier now that I got some money versus then because it was things that happened in between the time that made me who I am today.
right.
So, that's what happens when you live in a fantasy world. You don't get these moments. You don't focus on these moments that make you who you are. You just look far ahead and say, this is what I want to be, and this is how I want life to be. And you're always looking for something and you don't appreciate what you got.
Yeah, and I think you covered that earlier that you mask over stuff and you miss stuff that's right there in your
Mm,
face because you're too busy looking ahead.
mm,
I mean, it could be the best thing in life to happen to you right there in that moment, and you completely miss it because
mm,
you so focused that it didn't go the way you thought it should have, or you
mm.
looking so far ahead. But it's 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 not meant to kill dreams. It's everybody needs a destination, but just enjoy the journey. Enjoy it, every day. The struggle, the good and the bad,
Mm.
because you can learn something. Like I
Yeah.
said, it makes you who you are today. That's how your character is
Mm.
defined. That's how you are defined as a person. It's the different things you experience throughout life.
And I would say fantasy doesn't give you you can't gauge anything from fantasy.
No,
You
because
know.
and that's why I asked.
Yeah.
Are there ever any negatives when
Mm,
you fantasize?
mm,
You know, for the guys interacting, and I'm willing to bet that they don't have any
mm,
negative inputs into when they're looking at their dreams where they want to end up. They don't. It's everything is just
mm,
smooth and that sets you up for disappointment is what
mm.
it does.
It,
You know.
it it is self hurt. I
Yeah,
mean,
and you're doing it
yeah,
to
yeah,
yourself
yeah,
because nobody said it was going to be this way.
mm,
You came up with that own
yeah.
vision of what you thought it was going to be, and then you get something different. And that's the crazy thing. You get something different, but you're still headed towards your end goal.
Yeah,
So you completely missed the point that you're closer to your goal because it didn't happen the way you wanted to.
yeah, yeah.
So
You don't feel as good. You because it doesn't happen. You're more focused on that bad versus the good parts of it.
versus
Yeah,
the progression that
yeah.
how much closer you've gotten.
And there's degrees of that. I was listening to a doctor there. I can't call his name. Doctor something.
Psychiatrist.
Yes, psychiatrist. I don't even have his name here, but it was psychopathic fantasies basically.
Oh damn.
Um, talking about maladaptive daydreaming and everything like that, and they were talking about how it's really not acknowledged as a psychological disorder, but it is close files closely to narcissism,
Oh, I can see that.
OCD, and ADHD and other stuff.
I can see that.
So they haven't recognized it yet, but they have people trying to get it into it because what it does, it sets you up for basically you're looking more at a fantasy versus reality. So it sets you up just for failure all the time. Depression and all the other stuff comes along with it.
Mhm.
So
That's why I said I can see that.
yeah, it's just something that we don't even think about the fact that everybody everybody tells people that yeah you can do this, you can do that, and it's all this it's all in good. It's nothing that they're trying to do uh to harm them, but
Yeah.
it's just like too much good
Yeah.
can hurt.
Nobody tells you
You know.
about not even necessarily good, but just the struggle,
Mm,
the rough
mm,
parts. Everybody fantasizes great things.
mm,
Oh, this is just gonna be smooth. When I get there, I'm gonna own the world.
mm.
And when the world don't come, then you try to figure out why not.
So in the black community, I could say one of the things that we have right now that is going to be bad, and it's because of the nature what's going on now, Corona, not like we couldn't foresee none of this stuff, right?
Mm-mm.
But instead of adapting to whatever's going on, you got people doing certain things, not understanding it. This is the real situation, right? It's going to be a fallout from whatever going on. Them PPP loans, it's going to be a fallout for that shit. The stimmies, it's going to be a fallout for that shit, right?
It's gonna
You live in
be
it, it's going to be huge.
it's gonna be and you talking about financial,
Mm-hmm.
the psychological fallout is going to be tremendous.
Mm-hmm.
I just see the way people interact with one another now,
Mm-hmm.
and people are slowly getting back to being around in the open, but it's the psychological fallout is going to be tremendous. Especially I think on a lot of the younger people
Yeah.
who are still their minds are still what is it malleable. You can still be
Mm-hmm.
molded
Yeah.
or still being molded. They had I think it hit them the hardest if they didn't have the right people around them to
Mm-hmm.
let them know life goes on, everything's gonna be all right. But I heard some interesting stories from a couple young people, so it's gonna be heavy. Heavy is a lot of appointments laying on the couch. Going to see a therapist
Yeah.
or
We don't even understand how this is going to affect us in the future. And like I
mm-mm,
said, we have what we have as far as our age range, but we're talking about the kids and how this going to affect them in the future when they get older and the interactions with other people because we were away from people for a while. If they weren't in your house, you wasn't around them.
right.
So everything with social media and it made everything, even though social media kind of brings us close together, somebody from around the world, across the globe, you could talk to them, whatever. It still keeps us separate,
Mm-hmm.
and what it does, it keeps you almost in the sense of fantasy. Where you go to IG, you see everybody winning,
Yeah,
right?
everybody. They
Everybody
on
doing
the
it.
beach got
Yeah.
their best body, their
No, no,
best
they
life.
PPP loan,
PPP loan.
and but also what goes along with that, there's an upside to it, and there's a downside to it. So the upside is that, like if you're doing it, you feel that adrenaline rush
Oh yeah.
when people like your stuff, people love it or whatever they do, emojis, whatever to your stuff you put up. It's a high,
That dopamine.
that dopamine rush.
Hmm.
But the other side of that fantasy, when people get tired of seeing your ass doing shit, and they're like, okay,
When they
I'm
don't like
tired of seeing, and you start to see you're not getting as much attention no more. Now you got the downside of it,
it.
and that's almost that's linked to depression and stuff, and that's something that our kids, because they're growing up through this, they're going to have to figure this out, or they're going to have to seek therapy for that to understand why they feel a certain way interacting when it's not, this is social media. It's not supposed to be, people think it is not real, right? It doesn't affect you realistically because it's right there on the web,
Right.
right? But it does have effects, emotional
Oh,
effects, and
and psychological.
psychological effects. Yes.
Yeah, it's I just look at how kids are so I guess you could say trusting, or they never got a chance to learn people because their interaction with
Mm.
people has been on such a non personal
Personal
level.
level. Hmm.
So and you can tell a lot from a person just talking
Body
to them.
language and everything.
Body
Mm.
language,
Yeah.
how they interact with you, how they carry themselves. No, a lot of kids they won't have these skills. At least they won't develop them until later on. Whereas that's all we had was each other.
Mm.
It wasn't was a Zoom and
Yeah.
FaceTime and everything like that. We would talk on the phone, but even then, that was cut that off and then we go see them or whatever.
Yeah, but we'd be outside too.
That's what I'm saying. We was outside playing,
Yeah.
running, fighting,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, whatever it is, but it's face to face, and that sets you up for like interactions at your job. That sets you up for
Hmm.
interpersonal
Right.
skills,
Being able to
that you
talk to
build on.
somebody,
Yeah.
being able to talk to somebody,
Mm,
especially when like I said, you're looking for another position or
mm,
something like that, or you're trying to create an
mm,
organization, knowing how to manage people,
mm,
knowing how to understand people. That's going to be a lost art in the
mm,
next 10, probably now 10, 20 years
mm,
easily.
mm. Yeah. And once again, virtual reality. You're gonna have more of that, and people going fantasy.
You know they're selling virtual real estate.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah.
So the virtual real estate I saw, they're selling like virtual malls, spaces, malls. We could sell products.
Well,
Yeah.
I experienced actual real estate.
Mm,
Like, I guess I know I'm slow to the curve.
mm.
It's a virtual world out there, and they're selling real estate space in there to where you create your own section of that.
So you're gonna be your own in your own
You're
Sims
right,
world, basically.
and you're gonna own a certain amount, and I guess it's pretty much just storage
So
space.
somebody goes up and
And they come,
designs that stuff.
somebody designs it. You go into other people's real estate. And,
Mm.
I guess you got to live by their rules, whatever that
Damn.
may be. And that's gonna be the next
So
competition.
you
Who
die
got
in
the
a virtual world? Do you die in the real world?
shit? I don't know,
Like
but
a movie.
they're gonna be like, who got the who got the hypest
Mm,
virtual spot? You know
mm.
what I'm saying? But that's a real
No,
thing, and it's not cheap either. The real
really?
estate cost. So
Damn. Yeah.
that's
But on that aspect, I mean, I guess fantasy that type of fantasy is lucrative if you get people to buy
yeah,
into
but
it.
it's still it's gonna lead to the
Yeah.
same
Oh
thing.
yeah. Mm,
And it's gonna turn to a point where people cannot turn it off, where it
mm,
won't, because that stimulus, they're gonna need that stimulus over and over
mm.
again, and it's gonna be bad.
Yeah,
So
no, it
let me
is.
just say
Like
that.
it reminds me of what is that? The Sylvester Stallone movie where they was he was frozen, he went to jail, got
Oh,
frozen, he came back out. This was
uh,
Metro Man.
Metro
It
Man.
was Metro Man?
Well, not Metro Man. It's something
Something
man
there.
with
But
Wesley Snipes.
yeah, Wesley Snipes and him, yeah. And they was having sex, but it's virtual.
It's
He
virtual
think he
sex,
about to
right?
get busy. He like,
Right.
oh
Yeah. He
yeah.
like, yeah.
Oh,
He
put this on your
took
head.
his shirt off. Like, yeah.
Put this on your
Like,
head. What the
what are you
hell?
doing? We don't take our clothes off anymore. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
But that's where we headed. That's,
Yeah.
I say we. That's where a
Humanity. Yeah.
section of humanity is headed. But because it's already out there. So, but if you invest now, you might be able to
You
come
might
up.
make some
You
money.
can
Yeah,
make
that's
some
true.
money if you
Hey,
invest
AI
it.
is gonna be winning. Put your money stocks and AI.
Yeah, if you
Just
invest
a little
now.
tip for y'all: stocks and AI. They're making a lot of stuff virtual and virtual reality type stuff. Just wait, the virtual reality porn is gonna be here in a little bit.
Oh, I'm sure it's already here.
I haven't seen it. It
I'm
might
sure
be.
it's already.
It might be. But
I'm sure it's already here. I can only what's the little
yeah, the VR, the whatever, Oculus.
Oculus.
Yeah, Oculus.
If they got that for the kids, I know they got some for the grown-ups. They that who got the money, so they
Yeah, yeah.
so I'm sure there's something like that already for the porn enthusiast.
And everybody at that point, you have some guys that just sit in front of the
Right.
doggone computer all the
Motherfucker,
day,
yeah.
and they'll be happy.
Yeah.
They feel like they doing something, but no,
It's
so
kind of sad.
yeah,
But
no,
go
it
ahead.
is. But back, yeah, 'cause that's the downside, fantasy. But in our community, so let's go back to our community.
Right.
So in our community, the whole fantasy thing about you know, even money, like
Mhm. Oh yeah.
making yourself look rich,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
We have that bad in our community.
Yeah, it's a name for it. It's not in Atlanta is one of the worst cities for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's oh my goodness, it's not
Used to be
affluence.
fake it till you make it.
It's not affluence. It's something. Clark Howard. I heard
Oh,
Clark Howard give it the name that it is. I can't remember, but it's a bunch of people pretending to
yeah.
have something that they don't have. But that that hurts you financially. I'm sure it hurts emotionally
Mm.
when you have to show people, oh, I really don't have this or
Yeah.
whatever. So it's socially. So it is a real thing.
Plus, you're constantly not living in your truth. You're constantly trying to
Right.
appease somebody to where
Trying to
you
fit
have
in.
to prove yourself every moment you step out the door, basically.
Yeah.
So it's basically like a prison. You're building a prison for yourself.
That you created.
That you create in your own world. Yeah, and that's one of those fantasy things that can hurt you. Fabricating to learn non-entities. See.
Hey, that's heavy, man. That's deep.
So and we do it in our community big time.
Oh yeah.
Men with the money, women with the makeup, and
Oh,
the. I knew it was going.
I'm not even.
I waited.
I'm from refrain.
I waited to bring it
I'm not even
up.
gonna get into that. That is.
I
I
waited.
never even thought about that aspect of it.
I waited to bring that up. Yes, but I mean, serious. I mean, that's if you look at it once again. Go back to social media, IG, Facebook, and everything. These what you call it, the filters and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's
That shouldn't
it's
even be fair. I'm
it,
not. I
it
don't want to say legal. That's what I really want
yeah,
to say is legal.
but you know, with catfishing people, you know, was a big thing, you know, in dating, you know, on these sites, catfishing and stuff.
And I didn't, just a little caveat. I didn't realize how big of a difference a filter made. But hey, man, hey, that's technology.
Face Off. You remember the movie Face Off?
Yeah, that's
Face
technology,
Off,
baby.
man. Smooth your skin,
Yeah,
make you just look eyes looking a certain way. You know, it makes them look different. You see them in real life, it's like, okay, who is you?
right, right.
Who is you?
That just used to happen at the club when it was dark, bro.
Yeah. Okay. So you remember? Look, at 2 o'clock in the morning when the club, you know, and the lights come on, you see who was messing, you was dancing on. That's what you see. Damn, damn. I I thought she was bad. Now she bad.
Now she bad.
Now she really
She
bad.
real bad.
But yeah, no, that's where we at in the fantasy. You know, it's like, we got to go back financially, even with the makeup and stuff, right? You're paying to keep up a certain image of yourself
Right.
with the ladies.
That's very
The
hard.
same thing. You know, the men do it in another way. They do it up front with the cars and the jewelry and the clothes, expensive clothes, trying to prove a point to get your validation and everything. And women do it just another way with the makeup and other stuff. Now they spend big money on purses and stuff so they can look a certain way. But
Body magic. And,
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
But
I'm not gonna get started on that.
okay, you staying away from it.
We talking about fantasy today.
Well, I mean, it's a fantasy though. It's a
I
fantasy to build up a certain look, so you
yeah.
could get. So it's a fantasy try to get something from other
You
people.
think you're gonna get a certain result
Yeah,
by doing
yeah.
it, and it ain't happening.
It happens for
because
a moment. I
when
mean,
you have all that stuff on, how at what point do you let your guard down and allow someone to see you for who you really are? See, that's what I'm saying.
so way
How
back
can you
in the
get?
'90s,
How
right?
can you get to the end? How
Yeah,
can you?
way back in the '90s, man. I used to be trying to go out with a woman, and it was like, oh well, I can't let you see me this way. What way? The way you look? Exactly, the way you look. What are you talking about? And it's like, man, come on now. I mean, don't you think if you're trying to get serious with somebody,
Right.
they should know who you are?
Right.
They should know who you are. That goes for men and women, but definitely for women with this makeup stuff, because the thing is, eventually he's going to see you. So
He's trying to wait till you got him snatched up, got him hooked.
yeah. They're trying to put the bait and switch.
Man,
But
feel sorry for you, brothers.
but it's crazy, man. It's like, we're starting to put stock in it as a society on stuff that's not real, on stuff that's purely fantasy. And I think it's the reason why one of the reasons we're dead last of everything too. It's like we don't have any kind of real foundation. We're not, it's everything is fantasy, right? Everybody wants to look a certain way. Everybody wants to feel a certain way. Everybody wants to if even with this whole body shaming thing, right? They want to talk about, and I'm hitting all these points. I'm just, hey, write me. I don't give a shit. DM me. I don't care. But even with the body shaming thing, right? If you don't have a standard, right? What happens is when you get older, you run the risk of having all kind of ailments. You run the risk of, because you haven't held yourself to a certain standard. Uh, uh, I can eat whatever I want and whatever, and I'm not going to exercise
What I think a lot of this stuff is just a silence opposition. People don't want to hear the truth, and that's a way of you shaming this person for whatever reason. In reality, is what they're saying true. Now, it's one thing to be nasty.
Mhm.
Oh, you just a fat ass or whatever.
Yeah, no, yeah. It's the way you say it. Yeah,
It's nothing to tell somebody. No, you overweight.
Yeah.
You weigh whatever the number is. You weigh 100 pounds more than you should.
Mhm.
That's not, to me. That's not shaming. That's not bashing. That's
yeah,
reality.
giving a dose of reality, basically.
That's real.
Mhm.
But to cut that short, people want to start saying the body shaming thing or whatever kind of shaming to try to keep you from talking
about it. Yeah,
and it needs to be said. It needs to be discussed. It needs to be dealt with.
Mhm.
It's because it's not. People try to say, "Oh, I'm healthy today," but the human body wasn't made to carry around that kind of weight. For anybody, whether that be male or female. It's but to give it a name to keep people from talking about it, to where you can, like you said, live in that fantasy world in your head that everything is okay.
Everybody, it doesn't affect me no way
It's
because
okay until it's not. When
I'm thick. I'm
like I
thick.
said, it's okay until it's not. And then the doctor's like, yeah, we're gonna have to cut that leg off right there.
Type 2
We're
diabetes.
gonna have to get that one.
Yeah.
So I mean,
But that's what, like, living in a fantasy.
that you'll miss all of the warning signs until it's time.
So it's time to get that leg.
For them to like, yeah, let me get that neck, that ankle ball. That's real.
Hey, it's not funny, but
it's not funny. It's real,
But,
and we know they'll come get it.
No, yeah. You got it. Got to go. That's your life. I mean, I can say my grandfather died. He had diabetes. I remember they had to cut his leg off. I remember that. So
that's a real thing.
Yeah, it's especially in the Black community. Like we suffer from that bad.
Pierce Markey just passed away from
that was W.
If I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay, I don't even know.
Somebody check the source. I don't want to be spreading bad information. I'm almost positive he was diabetic. He had type 2 diabetes. Could be wrong. But yeah, but that's definitely a fantasy when you are allowed to ignore the reality that you are at an unhealthy way or that you have an unhealthy lifestyle until the doctor tells you, okay, now this is wrong or this is wrong. This organ is failing. That organ is failing.
Type 2 diabetes. You're right.
And then you gotta face the music. But why not just live in the moment, deal with it, and probably get better if you deal with it immediately. But when you put it off and say, no, that's I'm good, or I'm what you say, I'm thick.
I'm thick. Super sexy.
Super sexy. When you say, and you can be super sexy.
Voluptuous.
That's a good name. Super sexy.
No, that was my term back when I was selling women clothes because I didn't want.
That?
Yeah, because I didn't want. I didn't want them.
Boy, you were selling a lot of clothes.
I was selling some stuff.
Man, you super sexy.
Super sexy because I didn't want them to feel bad and I was buying it too. But then like I said, I had to realize that.
So when you said super, you was
supersized. Yeah, no, it was actually supersized clothes. We sell supersized clothes. So instead of saying supersized, I would say super sexy.
You was playing on words.
Yeah, playing on words. Yeah, because you don't want people to feel bad about it.
I mean, but you're not responsible for other people's.
I mean, this is a younger me. This is me in the 20s.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
you
in the 20s.
white knight back then.
Yeah, I was still simping. There you go, white knight and simping. That's what I was doing in my 20s. That's what I do in 20s. I wanted to live in the fantasy world because I wanted to get benefits.
Right.
I wanted to reap the benefits from it. The rewards of super simping. But yeah, no, we need to, we need to understand in our community that we need to start going back to the old way of calling things what it is and dealing with the things that are now, whatever's going on, and get out this fantasy world because it doesn't do us anything. It keeps us in a certain place longer.
Right.
It keeps us.
It keeps you stagnant.
Stagnant.
You cannot progress in delusion. You have to live in the moment. It's just that simple. You cannot. That's at least you're stagnant. You will sit there, lying to yourself and never get anywhere.
And the biggest problem is not them lying to themselves. The biggest problem is
society.
Bring it to the kids. No. Allowing the kids to live in that stuff, or teaching to the kids. What we always talk about, right? Everybody gets a trophy. That type of shit,
but,
right?
I mean, okay. See, I don't want to make this about being overweight or weight, but I'm thinking about the amount of little kids I see now that are,
overweight.
They overweight, man, and it's not by a little bit either. When I say little, I'm talking about 5, 6, 7. The ages you're supposed to be running around. You shouldn't have no fat on your body. Very, I look at some of the old like Good Times episodes and stuff like that. I used to swear Florida Evans was the biggest woman in the world. And
Damn.
Then I look at Good Times now, and she is like
she ain't all that. Yeah. Compared to what we see today.
And I'm like, wow, that tells you how much times have changed. But I don't want to, I don't want to get on that too much. But it does play a role in this about that fantasy, not living in reality, not accepting what's right in front of you, and I guess choosing to overlook it.
But my like I said, my thing is the kids. Think about everybody gets a trophy, right? What they're saying, everybody could win, and it's not the truth. It's not the truth. It's not the truth. Everybody can be an entrepreneur, own a business, and get rich. It's not real. Like if everybody's an entrepreneur, right? Who's gonna buy your shit?
Who gonna work for you?
Who's gonna do whatever?
Who gonna make the products? Who gonna run the assembly line? Who gonna clean the bathroom
Mm.
at your you know? It's just everybody's not made to do everything, but
Because of we living in
find your spot.
fantasy.
Yeah, find your spot in life though.
Yeah, and because we live in fantasy, it's like we're starting to see the breakdown of this of fantasy versus reality,
Yeah, there's people
right?
giving up on life because
Yeah,
they were sold, like you said, sold a dream. They feel like they're being cheated now.
we starting to see more people you have psych medicine, people committing suicide. You got people now don't work because they got used to free money. They think they're gonna be able to,
Now that's a
you know.
fuck. I mean, excuse me, that's a fantasy, right there. That is that free money, boy. There's no such thing.
Yeah, so I mean, we see all that right now. Like, and it's the thing is, we got to live in the reality, right? It's only going to get worse, right? Realistically, it's only going to get worse. If you think it's not, you're living in fantasy. Like, nobody's going to self-correct themselves. Nobody's going to, course correct. Nobody's going to do that. They're expecting somebody to do something for them, and the reality of it is that the government cannot do anything about this.
No,
It's out of their hands, right? I don't care who's the president. I don't care what it is. The Pandora's box been open. The genie is out the bottle. We're gonna have a problem.
but I mean, but let's be realistic. The government never really could do anything about it. They used to.
They made more money.
They
they made.
they did, but they used to. It's about like I always say with police officers. Now I know being a police officer is hard work or whatever, but police officers can't stop you for the most part from being victimized. They come after
after the fact. Yeah,
after the crime is
true.
done. They're law enforcement.
Yeah,
they come out, figure out what crime has been broken, and they try to enforce the law with whoever did it.
Every blue moon they could save you from being victimized,
possibly,
but majority of the time is not.
The best way they save you from being a victim is when they get criminals off the street. That's really the only way. But they give you the idea of being safe.
Yeah, it's the illusion.
It's the
of
illusion
safety.
of safety, and people believe it. And what's the first thing people do when something happens? When they call the police. Now it doesn't happen; it's done.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying not call the police because you would have filed a report depending on what it was, but that's what I'm talking about with the government. They can never really fix any of these problems, but they give you the illusion as though they can. Everybody got a solution. Oh,
take your money
we just
in the
need
process.
Exactly. We just need to do this and do that, and that'll fit. And what? Let's be honest. In the last 30, 40 years, what has the government fixed? Everything has gotten worse. It costs us more money. We up to how many? I don't know how many trillion.
Shit, I don't know. I don't know.
But
20 trillion or so. I don't know.
It's a real number. I don't think people understand how many zeros that is. That's 1,000 billions. 1,000 billions is 1 trillion, and we several trillion. It was 20 something trillion. So we're talking about 20,000 billions. You thought a million was a big number.
26.95 trillion.
Oh, just a little light 26.
26.95 in federal debt.
Just let me get that 0.95.
Yes, I would love that 0.95. Shit, that look real nice. That 95 billion. That would look wonderful.
Yeah, but they give you the illusion of being able to help and to solve a problem. But if you really look at it, what problem has government solved for the most part in the last 30 years, 40 years?
They do a shell game to me.
Yeah.
We're
gonna have to figure out a way to solve our own problems. And I don't mean sitting at home trying to figure it out. I mean working within the community.
Yeah, working with each other.
Working with professionals who can get you to a solution. That's how we solve our problem. But we have to, at some point, we have to get out of that fantasy, take accountability, and then address. Okay, I do have an issue with this. I do have an issue with that. Let me address that, and then get some professional help to get me through that, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
If you need some stuff, you can address yourself. Weight loss, something you can address yourself. Just being motivated is something you can address yourself. But other things, psychological anxiety, things like that, you may need a professional to help you work through that kind of stuff.
Yeah, just say that. The health fair, we're gonna have health care people there too. Dealing with people that might have issues with anxiety, depression, all that other stuff. So we're gonna have that also at the health fair. I'm gonna be posting while we're on break. Like I said, anybody just came along, we're taking a month break during August. I'm gonna be coming through, probably just shooting out just quick stuff, quick videos, just to talk about what we got planned for this health fair. If you're in the Baltimore, DC area, Maryland area, y'all could come through. I'm gonna have all the information. Uh, come get screened for diabetes. Come get screened for whatever. I can't even remember what all the stuff is right now. I don't have it in front of me. But we're gonna have actual healthcare professionals there doing screenings. Blood pressure. That's what it's blood pressure, HIV tests.
You don't hear about that. You see
Yeah.
the little
No, no,
commercials
no.
now,
You
but
don't no commercials. Everybody Corona. Nobody. You hear COVID. You don't hear anything about HIV. Like HIV said, you know what? That's a bad motherfucker. They got it over there. Hey,
Corona,
I'm gonna chill out. I'm gonna sit back.
Corona, they're killing it, man.
Yeah.
God, I remember I was the big dog.
Yeah. I ain't the big dog no more. They ain't scared of me no more.
Right.
I don't matter. But yeah, no, we like I said, just not living in reality. Uh it can have a drastic effect. I mean, just on your economical status, your emotional, your mental, uh, everything. Like if you're not understand like where you are in life at the moment, right? It can have an effect on you. Just having your head in the clouds is not a good place to be.
No,
They say ignorance is bliss, but it's eventually gonna come back.
not in America.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely not. Definitely not. If you poor in America, it's a problem. It's
Oh
a
yeah.
real big problem. You got to. We see tent cities growing even more.
Mm. That's a from what I understand, it's bad and well, it's bad here in
It's
Atlanta.
bad here too. Yeah.
You know,
L.A. bad.
but I was gonna
Yeah.
say in LA,
Yeah. Mhm.
this seems to be out of hand
Yeah.
from what I
No,
understand.
it's going to
I
get
haven't
worse.
seen it.
It's going to get worse because you got some people that got money, right? When you got stimulus and all this shit and didn't pay their bills since last year. So it's going to get worse. As soon as the man comes to collect the bills and it's time to pay the piper,
Well,
it's going to be a problem.
just on the side note,
Mm.
what do you think they're gonna do? Because okay, when Corona came, they had the like the renters moratorium
Mm.
where you didn't have to pay, which I
Mm.
thought was there's no free lunches out there. And
No.
I understand they try to be sympathetic to a lot of things, but to make it illegal for you to evict somebody because that person could have been acting the fool before Corona ever
Mhm.
showed up. And
Mhm.
this gave them even more
Oh,
leeway
yeah, 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 yeah.
and I'm sure that happened.
Mhm.
So do you think they're gonna keep trying to extend these things? Because like you said, these bills got to come due at some point. So at what point is the government gonna
I,
step back and just let it
I'm
happen?
going to tell you when it's time for this administration to get out of office, they're going to keep on pushing it back to somebody else's problem.
So you think they can make it like a voting topic possibly?
Oh yeah,
Because
that's gonna be part of how they gonna try to okay, well we're gonna fix this. That's gonna be a big topic as far as trying to get the next president in office. So after your 4 years up, you're not worried about it no more.
mm-mm, mm-mm. Yeah,
It's somebody else's problem.
yeah. I done seen President Biden a couple times. He look like he not worried about it now. So I
Mm.
mean,
Yeah.
but
Now
that's
we're worried about he's focused on people college debt and stuff like that, trying to feel college debt. But that's once again that's another issue that we sweeping under the rug because it looks good, it
that's that
might feel
that's
good for
one of
some
them
people.
fantasies though.
Yeah.
That we selling people on college. And
Mm.
don't get me wrong, higher education is important, higher learning, but college ain't for everybody, and we encouraging everybody to
To
go
go
to
to college,
college,
yeah,
and
and
they can't afford it,
yeah,
so they going to college, getting these tremendous amounts of debt with a degree in. I don't want to, I don't want to insult nobody
humanity,
with they degrees, but
humanity,
you know, I mean, even if you
arts,
any kind of art,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah. That
How
you can't make it,
how
you
can
can't
you
make enough
how
money
can you make
to
the
pay
money
back.
back to
Yeah,
pay
yeah.
back? I mean, you can over 20 years maybe or 30 years,
But you
but
still got to live life though. You still
right,
and who's gonna say I got to pay this college debt back?
they're gonna keep
Um,
deferring it.
yeah, they're gonna keep deferring it. So
But that's another fantasy that the American people have been sold on getting this education, and it's so many ways you can go to community college and pay for that out of pocket.
mm,
You can work at, people. I know people put look their nose down at fast food,
mm,
Walmart, things like that. But those jobs pay enough to pay your way through a community college, especially if you are a teenager who still
Yeah.
live with your parents or
Mhm.
something like that, that's more than enough money to
Now,
get you
if
to
you
where you
don't
need
know
to
what
go.
you want to do, like certain specialized
Absolutely. If
stuff,
you don't know
you
what you
know,
want to do,
yeah,
you definitely go there and get your core
yeah,
curriculum
yeah,
out of the way, and then you can always go to somebody else's college when you realize, okay,
yeah.
I want to major in this or
Mm.
that. But we treat college like, you know, oh,
This
how
is gonna
much?
get me. Yeah.
30,000. Yeah, and I got a friend of mine, and he was telling about it. His daughter, and the idea. She's a smart girl.
Mm.
Don't get me wrong. She's getting ready to go start working on her master's here. I think shortly. But just talking to other college students, they telling her how much she's gonna make when she get out. Okay, you let somebody who was school with you tell you how much money
Mm.
you gonna make. They
Mm.
hadn't seen the real world.
Mm-hmm.
College is theory.
Yeah.
Real world is reality. So but you need that to wake you up sometimes. But that's very much a fantasy that a lot of college students deal with. They go out and get these degrees,
Mm.
all these masters, PhDs, whatever, and then they get done with schooling and they can't find a job or a job in their field
Mm.
because they possibly got a degree that wasn't worth the
Yeah.
paper it was written on.
Depend on what's in, and also you got to think about this too. Like nothing is nothing is outside of absolved from reality, right? You know, if you have too many people going to college for the same thing, right?
Mhm.
It's going to be a problem
It
because some
saturates.
people is going to be left out.
It saturates
So
the market. It's just like
it
anything
saturates the
else.
market. Yeah,
Education is, I can't read.
education is fantasy too. Damn, I'm screwed. I'm
No,
going to bed. Good night.
education is not fancy.
Oh Jesus, that's what you said. That's what you said.
Now I said the idea that you think, oh, if I go to, you have to have an end goal. If you go to school thinking just because I went to school and I got a degree, I'm going to be
Mm.
successful, that is wrong. Yes, that is a fantasy. That is a
You
fantasy.
yeah, you have to be education in certain fields, right?
Talk to. It's I know so many people who have degrees who don't work in their field
Mm.
or have never worked in their field, but
But they owe money.
they owe money.
Yeah,
And not to
yeah.
say they live in a bad life, but they school was just like another stepping stone, just the next thing in line to do versus what you want to call it, a placement in life, pointing them in the direction they
Yeah,
want to go.
yeah.
Okay, I want to be a doctor.
Actionable
Right. Okay, I
course.
want to
Yeah,
be a doctor, so I'm gonna go to medical school.
yeah,
That's one thing. But
yeah.
a lot of college students didn't do that. They just was like, oh, I think I study this,
Mm.
get their degree, and then they off doing whatever. That degree is
General
just
studies and
yeah.
stuff like
You
that.
still got to pay
Yeah,
this loan back,
yeah.
but you're working in a completely different field. That's what I'm talking about. Education is not fantasy.
The the idea that it's going to be just any degree in anything basically
Yeah,
is the
any degree.
fantasy part of it. I'm gonna get a degree in anything and I'm gonna be able to make a lot of
Right,
money.
and
Yeah.
because that is what's being told
Mm.
to these students. You got if you don't go to college, you won't be successful.
Mm.
You know that's not the case. If you go, if you do go to college and get a degree,
Mm.
you will be successful.
Mm.
That's not the
That's
case.
not the case. It's not always the case. So
Yeah.
the fantasy is that you have to. It's
The
a case
fantasy
by
is
case
college.
basis.
The fantasy is that
Yeah.
college makes the difference,
Yeah.
and it does
And all in every situation basically.
in every
That's the fantasy.
field of study,
Yeah.
and that's not a real thing.
No. Yeah. No. It's like people trade school. Like you can go to trade school and become a carpenter, a plumber, or whatever, and make good money and live a good life.
Mhm.
Uh, it'll be better than you going to college for 4 years for general studies or for art or something like that, and you're stuck making $30,000-$40,000 a year,
Right.
right? It's depends on what you're going to college for. It depends on what the education is for. If you don't have any specialized education going for specialized skill,
It's all about demand.
yeah, the demand basically,
All
yeah, the
about
demand.
demand. If you're doing something that anybody can do,
You're not gonna make any
you're
money.
not gonna make a lot of money.
Yeah,
Simple
yeah,
as that.
true. So I mean, that's just about being realistic. It's about being realistic in the educational goals. Not in the fantasy world, thinking that you just because you went to college, you're
Or
gonna make it.
or if you don't have a skill that people are looking for, like you say, you majored in humanities,
Mhm.
or I love black people, but you
African
majored in
American, yeah,
African
your
American
studies.
studies.
No,
What are you
yeah,
gonna do with that
nothing.
besides
No,
maybe
no,
teach?
yeah.
You know, but guess what? That that degree cost you, 70, 80 grand, if not more, depending on where you went to school.
It costs you probably 20 years of your
Hmm.
life, basically.
But people think that's the next step.
Mm.
I got to go to college. And they don't even give college debt a second thought.
Mm-mm.
It's just like, and the colleges love it because
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
nobody
yeah,
complains about the rate
yeah,
of tuition and how high
yeah.
it's
Yeah,
going.
that's how it's going.
It
Nobody
over every year it just jumps
it
up that.
hikes up. Mm.
We complain about gas prices,
Mhm.
food prices, all that stuff, but nobody says anything about these colleges raising their tuition.
If you know what, it'd be better if somebody would take that same amount of money, if they uh uh
Oh,
amass that money and go out of the country somewhere.
go out the
And,
country
yeah,
or just
yeah,
invest it in themselves.
yeah,
Like
that too.
it's some, but you got to have a plan. Then
Yeah, you have to plan. That's the realistic part of it.
you
Is
got to know where
that
you want to
plan,
go,
that specific, that actionable plan that's going to get you somewhere. Not just
not just the illusion of if I go to
yeah,
college, then I'm set
I'm
for life.
doing it. That's basically kind of part of the reason why I dropped out. Is like what, I'm going to be getting debt, and
Well,
it's going to be
the most successful people I know have little to no college education.
mm,
If you look at some of the most successful people in business,
mm.
college
Oh, Bill
dropouts,
dropouts. Yeah, Bill
college
Gates.
dropouts, because they already know
Yeah,
what they want to do. They know how
yeah,
to do it. College is for learning how to do something that you don't know how to do yet,
yeah,
and it's higher learning. You build to know something, but just to go just because that's the next step after high
yeah,
school, that is not the right move,
yeah,
especially when it's costing you that kind of money. Community college is very affordable.
yeah. So, like us once again, education isn't the idea of education.
It's not a fantasy.
Yeah, education is a fantasy unless you're not
Education,
realistic about where you're
yeah,
going.
education
Yeah,
should never stop.
yeah.
You should be continue your education for the rest of your life.
You over here talking about education of fans. You're gonna have all these kids dropping out.
Right. I want them.
Stupid.
I'm looking for the future. I want them to be uplifted,
Yeah.
man.
Now, and we're
But they're going about it, I think, the wrong way. They're being sold a bill of goods. That's just making a lot of other people rich.
and that's what see. That's the point. The point is that you're buying you're buying something that's gonna feed the system.
Yeah.
You're feeding the system, and the thing is, for most people, that don't have that direction, don't have that drive to do something, uh, that's in demand, right? You want to be happy, and which you're going to college because you want to be happy doing something. Uh, no, I'm not gonna say that. Yeah, you just you just have to know what you're going for. Yeah,
Yeah, and know that
do your homework.
that's the
That's what it is.
field that's the
Yeah,
field that's in
yeah,
demand. That's
yeah.
you're gonna be able. Somebody's gonna be looking for
Mm.
you to apply those skills that you picked up in college or the knowledge. You don't have any skills in college because it's just theory. You're just studying the idea of whatever subject it may be.
Yeah.
But
Well, before you go to college, I mean, you can look that up. Just search,
yeah,
what are fields, growing fields,
and
right? And you want to be in the growing fields,
it's
STEM fields.
STEM
Yeah,
fields.
STEM fields.
You know,
Doctors, they always going to need medical professionals.
we never question it
Um,
though.
they're always going to need law enforcement, and that'll take a lot of whatever. They're always going to need that. They always got knuckleheads acting up. So, it's just certain fields that you could veer towards so you can make money. It's all about taking care of yourself, providing for your family. It's just the basics,
Mhm.
you know.
I
But
agree.
yeah, but yeah,
Well, I
like I
think
said,
you
fantasy. That's
you slapped them in the face with the fantasy
I'm
today.
sorry.
I had to
Yeah, I'm
catch on.
sorry, y'all. But
It's
it
all right.
had it had to go with fear. It had to go against fear because fear is one thing, and then fantasy is the other thing that hurts our community. I mean, we tell we lie to each other. That's the fantasy. The lie is a fantasy.
Yeah. Think
No,
about
no matter how you want to slice it. Fantasy is a lie until it's accomplished.
right,
It's just something you tell yourself.
but think about how many guys like we talk about the youth, you know, in our community who aspire to be professional athletes
Hmm.
or rappers
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
or not to
One
say you
point percent is gonna make it. One
right,
point
not
something
to say you
percent.
can't
Yeah,
make it, but it's gonna be
yeah,
tough.
yeah.
But that's that fantasy. That's that illusion. And I'm
Mhm.
not telling anybody to not chase whatever you're trying to do. I'm just telling you to understand where you're going.
Mhm.
It's Be realistic with yourself. Know the numbers.
Yeah, yeah. Know the statistics of it, because if you know everything is possible, but you need to know what's probable,
Hmm.
right? That's the difference. The difference is, yeah, it's possible I could go out here and hit it big, but on the lottery or something. But probability is one within, how many
Several millions. It's
millions.
23.
I'll probably get hit by lightning before I win the lottery,
Yeah.
by the numbers, basically. So, yeah, just like I said, root yourself in reality, figure out what's going on around you, and adjust with that. Don't just, sit up in the world to where you're creating your own alluring non-entities to always satisfy yourself. Don't fabricate your own reality.
Dropping
Be
knowledge
realistic.
on.
Yeah. I worked with that. I'm proud of that one right there. I worked on that one. I was sitting around thinking. But anyway, like I said, we're gonna be gone for a month. I'm gonna be dropping different stuff. I also got a something with Jade. You remember Jade that was on our show? I got
Jade.
something with
Oh, no,
Jade.
oh, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Y'all
got
still
something.
do the
Yeah, and
okay.
I've been taping it, but I gotta edit it and everything. So I'm be dropping that probably once a week just to have
I
content.
bet that's interesting.
It some of the conversations are interesting. Yeah, because she's out here in the dating world, and we having conversation every time. Like she has something going on, she hit me up, and I say, okay,
Record
let's
this.
record it. Let's go and record it because it's stuff that everybody goes through.
Right.
Especially women that's dating, trying to date men that don't understand who men are, don't understand, what guys are looking for, or what, whatever. So yeah, I'm gonna be dropping that, and also I'm gonna put together the new podcast that I'm not gonna be a part of later. I mentioned this before, but it's gonna be uh I'm gonna put the name out there. No Cap Podcast, right? Four guys, north, south, east, and west. And we talk about just real stuff, like anything going on in the world, anything dealing with um just current events, and just from a male's point of view, because it's a difference. Like, it's us talking about stuff. We're in one place, so
Hmm.
yeah, you're getting one view of something, but different place you get different views of things.
Right, because it's different everywhere you go.
Yeah.
So
So
you got somebody. You said north, south, east, and
yeah,
west.
north, south,
Okay.
east, west.
Yeah,
I got to
well
figure out
understood.
who's in the south. I'll be there for a little while till I figure out who's gonna be from here, and I'll be stepping back doing engineering and stuff for the videos.
My man.
So that's why
See,
I'll
that's a
be behind the
skill.
scene.
People pay
So
for that.
yeah.
That's a skill, right there.
So that's what I got going on. Just to let y'all know. Gone for a month. Both this one and ADHD Hour will be gone for a month, and I'm working on some other stuff. So, like I said, I'll be behind the scenes on this other stuff. So, anyway, I appreciate y'all rocking with us.
Yeah, man. Good looking
Uh,
out. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for.
Also, we have a new set and everything when I come back. So, just to
Oh
let you know,
man.
I'm upgrading some stuff. So, this will be gone. This sheet,
What?
and yeah, that'll be
I was
gone.
really,
Yeah.
I don't
Nah,
got
that was supposed to be a backdrop, but it was too. They tried to charge $600 for that thing, so I said hell no. But yeah.
that sheet fit me perfectly.
So we'll be back in September. Look out for us. Uh, like I said, I'll be on here every so often with some other stuff. But anyway, appreciate y'all rocking with us.
All right, man.
Anything you last words?
That's it, man.
Okay.
Hope to see y'all in September.
All right.
Have some interesting topics. I want you guys to follow the link and get on here and go back and forth with us. Not necessarily in disagreement, but in agreement. Don't be afraid.
Nah, you could disagree too. I don't give
Yeah.
a disagree.
Either one, but just get on here and share some of that interaction. But
Mm.
other than that, man, thank you for joining us, and good night, everybody.
Oh, also, Black Male Podcast. Look, go to YouTube, subscribe to that, because the videos will be coming on basically YouTube. I'll probably tease it on Facebook. I'll tease it on Facebook and my Instagram, but the whole video will be on YouTube.
Two.
So go check out YouTube, Black Male Podcast, subscribe to it, and we'll see you in September.
Yep. Bye.
We still here.
Well, we still here. We
We
still
still-
live, baby. Still rolling.
And we go on. Peace.